Hello everyone. So we have Rajath here, one of sister students for GSoC17 for PC Prep project. So over to you, Rajath.
Thank you, Budhi Prabha. Hello, everybody. I'm Rajath Krishna. I'm Rajath Krishna, a computer science undergraduate from Bangalore, India. I have worked on the PC Prep Kit project as a part of Google Summer of Code 2017 with Anita Berg Institute. Here's my team. My mentors for this project were Jennifer, Rhythm, and Visita. Visita was a Google Summer of Code student in the year 2012. And the admin for this project was Budhi Prabha. She was a mentor in the year 2016, a student in the year 2012 and 2015. My Shreyans was my teammate who worked along with me on this project. So why have I applied for this project? PC PrepKit is a relatively new project which had to be built from scratch. This allowed me to express my ideas and views without much restrictions. Unlike other projects which had already built-in code and they had to build on it, this gave me a lot more freedom to express my ideas. Since the team consisted of 2 members, the tasks were chosen from both of our proposals. All the tasks assigned to me corresponded with my initial proposal, with some changes to the user interface. So the importance of this entire project. So here's a quote that can be considered as a tagline for this application. Information is key to effective malaria control. Nearly half of the world's population is at risk of malaria. That's how deadly this disease is. WHO has estimated that increased prevention and control measures have led to a 29% reduction in malaria mortality rates globally since 2010. So as you can see, just by increased prevention and control measures, we can curb this disease to a reduction of 29%. So this application is so powerful that it can even reduce this percentage, increase this percentage to a higher number. Simple messages about how malaria is transmitted are yet to reach some communities. So what we intend on doing through this application is to make it universal and have every community take part and get some general awareness of this deadly disease. So I'll be going over the outline of this presentation. First, we have the abstract, the goals, the demo, and then the challenges. Going over to the abstract. PC Predicate project is basically developing a web application that will spread awareness about malaria through some fun, user-engaging activities. All stages will be locked initially, and as user progresses, new stages will be unlocked. The target audience for this is as follows. Anyone can use this application to gain knowledge about malaria, but the primary target audience for this application are Peace Corps volunteers. Additional features of our application is as follows. First, we have the modular structure. So any component can be separable and be plugged in as well so that there won't be any issues later on. So you can add in components, remove components, and the system will work fine without any issues. Then we have multi-language support as well. So you have language barriers in different places. So this application intends on preventing all such barriers and having everyone take part and get some general awareness of malaria. The technology stack for this project is as follows. I got to learn a lot of new technologies as I had no prior experience with some of the following technologies. For example, Node.js was used for the backend. I had no prior experience of this technology and it was very interesting for me to work on it. MySQL was used for the database. SQLize was used for the ORM. HTML5, CSS, AngularJS 2 plus or 4 was used for the front end. Angular is a client-side TypeScript framework. Bootstrap was used for the responsiveness of this application. So, and Git was used for the version control system where we used to upload our code and get it approved. So moving on to the goals. So here are the tasks which were split up. So first I had the proposed task which was then reduced to the task which was assigned to me. So here are some of the tasks which I'll be elaborating in the demo. Okay, now moving on to the demo. The registration module was developed by Shreyans. I developed the login module, so I'll start with the login module. So once you log in, you get to this page. This is the main menu page. So what do we have here? The main menu page allows users to navigate to the desired stage and activity. The activity indicators in this circular portion in, uh, uh, gives a brief idea of where the user is at the current stage. So the grayed out arcs indicate that the activity is incomplete, and when the user completes the activity, this grayed out bar will turn green. So let's move on to the introduction stage. So here is just a brief welcome message, which will let you move on to the next introduction activity. So what does this activity entail? The highlight activity is the first activity of introduction stage. This activity requires the users to highlight the definition of malaria, giving the user an idea of this deadly disease. So let me just highlight this definition. So yeah, once you highlight this definition, you get a success message on the top right. And also you get a pop-up button here saying that you can move on to the next activity. And also there are activity indicators which will at the footer, which will indicate where the user is at the current stage. So when I move on, this will turn green. This is the second activity which was developed by Shreyans. So in order to move on to the next activity, I had to complete this. I'll just quickly complete it. So once you mail it, you get a success message on the top right saying that you have completed this activity. Yeah, there you go. So you get this message. Once you get this message, you can move on to the next activity. The button will appear and you can move on to the next activity. So what do we have next? Next we have the piece, we have the picture puzzle activity. This is another fun activity that will keep the user engaged as he progresses to later stages and activities. So what does one have to do? So you can select a picture. So I'm going to select this PC logo. You can start the puzzle. So basically it'll shuffle this image, and what the user has to do is he has to arrange them in order to complete this activity. So you move it here and you move it here. And there you go. You get the success message saying that you completed this activity. So once you're done, you can also set this as a profile picture. So once you set it as a profile picture, you'll get it here. So this will be your profile picture for your account. So after you're done with that, you can move on. So this indicates that you have successfully completed the introduction stage. Now we can head back to the menu and navigate to the later stages. So and as you can see in this circular section, it was grayed out earlier. Now it is green in color, indicating that the activities have been completed in this stage. So let's move on to the Malaria 101 stage. So I developed this activity. What this activity does is it illustrates the transmission of malaria virus through mosquitoes. So first we have a mosquito that flies in and transmits the virus to the human. So now the human is infected. Now it flies away. Then we have another mosquito coming in. This mosquito is not infected yet. So once he goes to the human, the virus gets transmitted from the human to the mosquito. So the mosquito is now infected. He'll fly away to another human host. So this person here is the second infected person. So the virus is being transmitted to this healthy person. So this entire animated video was developed by me to illustrate the process of malaria transmission. Next, we have a follow-up activity of the previous video. We have the characters from the previous video. All we have to do is arrange them in the proper sequence. So here you have the arrows and also the labels next to the placeholders, which will indicate what you have to place where. So first, let's start with the virus. Then comes the first infected mosquito. Then we have the first infected person who we saw in the video. So after that, we have the red blood cells getting affected by the virus. Then we have the second infected mosquito. After that, the last person to be affected is the second infected person. So once you complete, you get this message saying that you completed this activity. But if you replace the messages in the wrong order, you get an incorrect message saying that you haven't completed this activity. Yeah, this is incorrect. So again, when you move it back, you get this message, success message. Now we can move on to the next activity. This activity was developed by Shreyans. So I'll just quickly complete it. So once you're done, you can move on. And you can notice the footer here. The activity indicators indicate the activity is completed in this stage. So we have completed 2 activities of Malaria 101 stage. Now this third activity is a quiz on the general awareness of malaria. So let me just complete this. So here's a question: which of the following can repel mosquitoes? So I choose citronella. Citronella is the right answer. So the answer for this is a parasite prevented by. So say I choose a wrong answer here. You get this incorrect message notification. And also say I choose it again, choose the wrong answer here. Which of these drink contains quinine and an anti-malarial property? So I say I choose cola. So again you get this message. And so after you're done, you get the answers to the questions which were asked. So the user can get to know the questions he's answered correctly and questions he's answered incorrectly. Click on OK. Here you get your score. Out of 5 questions, I've answered 3 correctly. You can even retry and answer those questions again and get it right the second time, or you can move on to the next activity. So now we have completed the Malaria 101 stage. Now we can head over to the menu, choose the next stage in this order. So medications and labels is the next stage. This was developed by Shreyans. So what this activity entails is you're supposed to match the medications with their descriptions. So I'll just quickly complete it. So after I'm done, I get this message again. Moving on. So this is an activity which is developed by me. This is the second activity of the medication and label stage. This is a fun memory game where the user has to find matching pairs of cards. And once he finds a pair, he'll get a pop-up notification containing the details of that particular card which was matched. So the main purpose of this activity is to educate the user about some of the diagnosis of malaria that can provide a secondary confirmation of the diagnosis, or it can also help in self-diagnosing and confirming any concerns of contracting malaria. Say if you have any symptoms, you can play this fun activity and you get the diagnosis and find out if those symptoms correspond to your diagnosis of malaria. So let me just complete this. So here a parasite card was matched. So once that card is matched, you get a relatable image description, also a textual description. So falciparum tends to be the species causing the most complications and has a high mortality if untreated. So now the user knows that this particular species of parasite is more deadly than the others. Here again, you have a general description of how a blood test is carried out and how the diagnosis is happens. This is another test which is carried out. Here again, there's a description on it. So here we match a card containing the symptoms of malaria. So here you have an image showing all the possible symptoms that can occur if you contract malaria, and also a brief description of how to handle such a situation. Here again, another card was matched. So yeah, here is another card which shows that an enlarged spleen can be a possible cause of malaria. So this is another diagnosis which a doctor can determine to indicate that the person has contracted malaria. Here is another image which shows the possible regions of the world that can be prone to malaria. So here the regions marked in red indicate the malaria risk regions, and any regions one can avoid from visiting. Another diagnosis of this of malaria is it can cause an enlarged liver. So this diagram shows how the size of the liver changes when a person contracts malaria. So now we are done with this activity, and we have the button indicating we can move on to the next activity. This is the chat with doctor activity which was developed by Shreyans. So I'll just quickly move over. We have successfully completed the medications and label stage. So now we can head over to the menu. The last thing which I developed was the unlock stage. So what is this stage all about? Here you have here is the final and last stage. So this gives the user a final fun game to play after completing all his previous activities. As a reward of completing all the previous activities, he can unlock this stage and start playing this game. Here are a few instructions of how to play this game. The instructions are very simple. It's not, you don't need rocket science for this. So here you have the inventory section, and here you have the container. So what one has to do is head over to the inventory and click on this inventory icon, the spray icon. And once he clicks on it, he moves over back to the container. So when he moves over back to the container, the cursor changes to this spray icon, and he has to prevent the mosquito from reaching this human and transmitting the malaria virus. So that's basically how you play this game. Once we get to know of how we play this game, we can move on and actually start playing the game. So I click on the inventory item. Here the mosquito has already bitten the human, and then you have the progress bar for the human and the bar for health bar for the mosquito. So if the health bar of the human decreases, the human will contract malaria, and that will be the end of the game. Or you can even prevent the mosquito from reaching the human by shooting this spray and reducing this progress of the mosquito's health bar. So there, the mosquito is flying away. It's going toward the human. Yeah, so almost there. So yeah, mosquito is dead now, and now we can get this final image. It's basically a summary of all the activities that was covered in this entire application. We have the ABCD against malaria. First, we have the awareness, recognizing malaria. Then we have B, bite prevention, controlling mosquitoes using some safety nets or bug sprays. C, we have chemo prophylaxis, a preventive medication of malaria. Then we have the diagnosis. Early recognition is always better than late recognition. You can also restart the activity and start playing from the beginning. Then, so yeah, that's it from the application point of view. I'll just show some of the tests which I've completed. This takes quite a while. In the meantime, I'll show the I'll head over to the challenges I faced. So the challenges I faced in this project was working with new technologies. So Angular and Node were relatively new technologies for me, and I had fun time learning them as well as facing the challenges which occurred while learning. Then we have the second challenge which I faced was there wasn't any standard IDE available for Angular. So any linting changes that had to be done manually, and that was a really challenging task for me to figure out where the linting errors occurred and changing them. So future development of this project can be implementing a leaderboard so that it gives a sense of competition for all the users to actively participate in this application and complete the activities. Then we have the increasing number of activities and stages. So right now, for each stage, we have like 3 activities, and there are like 4 stages. So this can be increased to a higher number and give a more general sense of malaria and preventive measures and awareness tips of malaria. Third, we have develop implementing difficulty levels for the activities. Right now, there are no difficulty levels for the activities. Everything is at a basic intermediate level. So there can be difficulty level implementation as well, with easy, medium, or hard. Fourth, we can have more testing. Right now, there we have implemented most of the test cases, but there can be more testing for any later activities and stages that can be implemented for future. So the test has been built. Just run it now. So here's the progress of all the test cases. In total, there are 45 test cases and all have been passed. So testing works. Yeah, that's about it. Any questions?
I just have comments. I love your attention to detail, having that visual feedback of the arrow button jumping to indicate that the next activity is coming up, or that they're ready for the next activity, I think is really brilliant. And all of your pop-up images, whenever you integrated an image as well as text, which is very important to people who may not have like higher education. So having these activities like both engaging in a visual aspect as well, I think is really brilliant. And I think I love your attention to details. Thank you, Rajath.
Thank you, May.
Yeah, yeah, Rajath.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
Vijita.
I think you have done a really great job from the beginning of the proposal submission period and during the whole summer, Rajat. So we all were really impressed about your work. And finally, we were really impressed about your presentation also. So thank you very much for all the hard work. And thank you very much for finishing this project perfectly. So I hope you will continue with the sisters after the summer also. So
Thanks.
great work.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vijita. Like I couldn't have done it without the mentors. Like mentors helped me a lot. I learned a lot from them. So all credit, most of the credit goes to them. And yeah, I'll definitely contribute after the summer as well. This is a very
Yeah,
interesting project, and I like to contribute more.
great, great.
Yes, I would like to add to what Visita mentioned. So all your features give a lot of information about malaria, and it's in a very interactive and very very interesting way. So thank you so much for the great job.
Thank you, Vijita.
I also agree with them. You have made it a fun way and interactive way to create awareness. Thanks for the great job.
Thanks, Vijita.
Okay, so seems like we don't have questions, so I think we can finish the broadcasting.